Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety," or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside. Think about that for a moment. In a world that constantly pulls us in 1,000 directions, where every thought demands attention and every worry feels urgent, imagine having the power to quiet the mental storm. Not by ignoring your thoughts, but by mastering them. This isn't some feel-good slogan, it's the very heart of Stoic philosophy, a timeless guide for transforming endless rumination into clarity, purpose, and peace. And if you've ever felt trapped in your own mind, unable to let go of what-ifs and worst-case scenarios, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll have practical strategies to finally break free from overthinking and start living with intention. Let's begin. Why we overthink. If you've ever wondered how ancient philosophers faced uncertainty, you're not alone. The truth is, overthinking isn't a modern invention. Even in the days of Marcus Aurelius, the human mind was restless, prone to spinning stories and inflating fears. But the Stoics approached this challenge with remarkable clarity. They taught that the problem isn't the thoughts themselves, it's our attachment to them. When we believe every idea, every worry, every prediction, we hand over our inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. It's a reminder that no matter how loud your thoughts get, you are not obligated to obey them. Imagine this, you're sitting by a river. Thoughts drift past like leaves on the current. You can observe them, notice their shape, their speed, but you don't have to jump in and chase everyone downstream. This is the Stoic way, becoming the observer rather than the captive of your mind. Overthinking thrives on the illusion that by thinking more, you can prevent every possible problem. But the Stoics knew that control over the future is a fantasy. All you truly own is your response in this moment. If you are distressed by anything external, Marcus wrote, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate. The Stoics' perspective on overthinking. Overthinking doesn't mean you're broken, it means you care. You care about making the right decisions, about protecting yourself from failure, disappointment, or regret. It means your mind is trying, in its own clumsy way, to help you feel safe. But here's the paradox. The more you try to think your way into certainty, the more elusive peace becomes. Instead of clarity, you end up with a swirl of conflicting ideas, imaginary scenarios, and self-criticism. It's like standing in front of 1,000 open tabs on your mental browser. No wonder you feel overwhelmed. Neuroscience has shown that our brains are wired to anticipate problems. This survival instinct helped our ancestors spot threats in the wild, but today, it often means we spend hours replaying conversations, worrying about emails, or predicting disasters that never happen. Marcus Aurelius understood this tendency centuries ago. He wrote, "Our life is what our thoughts make it." He knew that unchecked thoughts can build invisible prisons around us, prisons made of fear, doubt, and imagined catastrophes. But what if overthinking isn't the real problem? What if the true issue is believing every thought deserves your energy? Because here's the truth, not every thought is worthy of your attention. Not every worry is a signal to act. The Stoics believed that clarity comes from learning to separate what you can control from what you cannot. When you practice this distinction, the endless noise in your mind starts to lose its power over you. Strategy number 1, the view from above. If you've ever wondered how ancient philosophers faced uncertainty, you're not alone. The truth is, overthinking isn't a modern invention. Even in the days of Marcus Aurelius, the human mind was restless, prone to spinning stories and inflating fears. But the Stoics approached this challenge with remarkable clarity. They taught that the problem isn't the thoughts themselves, it's our attachment to them. When we believe every idea, every worry, every prediction, we hand over our inner freedom. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." It's a reminder that no matter how loud your thoughts get, you are not obligated to obey them. Imagine this, you're sitting by a river. Thoughts drift past like leaves on the current. You can observe them, notice their shape, their speed, but you don't have to jump in and chase everyone downstream. This is the Stoic way, becoming the observer rather than the captive of your mind. Overthinking thrives on the illusion that by thinking more, you can prevent every possible problem. But the Stoics knew that control over the future is a fantasy. All you truly own is your response in this moment. If you are distressed by anything external, Marcus wrote, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. And this you have the power to revoke at any moment. This idea is liberating. You don't need to banish every thought. You don't have to force yourself into positivity. You simply learn to see your thoughts as suggestions, not commands. Some you'll keep. Most you'll let pass by. And the more you practice this perspective, the more you'll notice a quiet strength emerging, a sense of calm that doesn't depend on what's happening around you or what your mind is chattering about. Strategy number 2, negative visualization. At first glance, negative visualization sounds like the last thing you would want to do when you are already stuck in your head. But to the Stoics, it was a cornerstone of mental strength and a surprisingly gentle way to break the cycle of overthinking. Seneca called this practice premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of evils. It means imagining, in a controlled and deliberate way, the loss, setbacks, or difficulties you fear most. Why practice this? Because picturing the worst-case scenario does not make it more likely to happen. It actually does the opposite. It prepares you emotionally so that if life takes an unexpected turn, you are not paralyzed by shock. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty.'" He did not do this to feel miserable. He did it to build a mindset so resilient that no disappointment could steal his peace. He understood that by confronting potential hardships in advance, he could meet them with courage rather than panic. When your mind is consumed by "what if," you tend to imagine vague disasters. Your brain loops on abstract fears, failure, rejection, loss. But when you bring those fears into clear focus, they often lose their hold. They shrink from shadows into defined possibilities, ones you can prepare for and even accept. For example, if you are constantly overthinking whether you will fail in your career, take time to picture what that would actually look like. Imagine the embarrassment, the conversations you might have, the financial strain. Then ask yourself what you would do next. Would you look for another job? Would you learn new skills? Would you reach out for help? More often than not, you will realize you are more capable than you believe. Try this simple exercise. Take a few quiet minutes and think of one thing you are overthinking, a project, a conversation, a choice. Ask yourself, what is the worst that could realistically happen? Visualize it in detail. Picture the emotions you would feel and the steps you would take to respond. Then ask, if this happened, how would I cope? What resources, strengths, or people would help me? You will often realize that even if the worst happened, you would find a way through. This knowledge doesn't eliminate uncertainty, but it deflates the fear driving your overthinking. Negative visualization also has another profound effect. It makes you grateful. When you imagine losing something you value, your health, your relationships, your freedom. You return to the present with a fresh appreciation for what you still have. This shift in perspective can be almost immediate. A stressful day can suddenly feel more bearable when you remember how much worse things could be and how fortunate you are right now. Seneca once said, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand." It is a reminder that seeing potential loss clearly is not pessimism. It is preparation and an invitation to value the life in front of you. So, the next time you catch yourself replaying the same thoughts, consider taking a moment to visualize the worst so you can return to your life with renewed clarity and gratitude. In the next section, I will share a practice that Marcus himself used to untangle his thoughts and regain calm: journaling. Don't go anywhere, because this simple habit could be the key to freeing your mind. Strategy number 3, journaling for clarity. If you have ever felt like your thoughts were a tangled ball of string, you are not alone. Overthinking thrives in the shadows. When worries stay vague and unspoken, they grow into something much bigger than they really are. That is why the Stoics turned to journaling as a daily practice to clear their minds and reconnect with what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius did not write his meditations to impress anyone or to craft a legacy. He wrote to himself, to examine his thoughts, challenge his fears, and remind himself of what he could control. He once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." Journaling was how he chose those colors with intention, rather than letting the chaos of life paint them for him. Today, we have the same opportunity. You do not need a leather-bound notebook, fancy pens, or perfect handwriting. You just need honesty and a willingness to look at your thoughts without flinching. When you write things down, your mind stops spinning them in circles. What felt overwhelming becomes something you can see clearly on the page. What was confusing becomes more ordered. What was frightening often loses its power once you name it. Try this simple nightly exercise to get started. Grab a notebook or a scrap of paper and write down everything on your mind without judgment or editing. Just let it flow out of you. Once it is all there, look back over what you have written and underline any worries that seem to come up again and again. For each one, ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is yes, write down one small action you can take, no matter how minor it feels. If the answer is no, gently remind yourself that it is not yours to carry. Even this tiny gesture of discernment starts to retrain your mind to focus on what you can influence and to let go of what you cannot. Some people find it helpful to end their journal entries with a few lines of gratitude. This could be as simple as, "I am grateful for a warm bed," or "I am grateful I am learning to understand myself." Gratitude balances out the tendency to dwell on problems and creates a more grounded perspective. Over time, journaling becomes a mirror. It shows you patterns where you get stuck, what triggers your anxiety, how you speak to yourself in your private thoughts. Once you see those patterns, you can start to change them. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself to look within, because he knew the real work of life happens in the mind. Journaling is how you step back from the noise in your head and see your thoughts with clarity and compassion instead of judgment. It is how you train yourself to respond rather than react. In the next section, we will explore how to set healthy boundaries with your own mind so you can stop overthinking before it starts. Stay with me, because this next practice can be a game changer in your journey to more peace and presence. Strategy number 4: setting boundaries with your mind. Most of us think about boundaries as something we set with other people, but one of the most transformative things you can do is learn to set boundaries with your own thoughts. Overthinking happens because we grant every idea an open invitation to occupy our mental space. It is like leaving your front door wide open to every passing worry, every what-if, every self-criticism. The Stoics understood that discipline is not only about how you act, but also about where you allow your attention to settle. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This single sentence carries a profound truth. You can decide when, how, and whether to engage with the thoughts that arise. One way to practice this is to create worry time. Instead of letting your mind ruminate all day, pick a specific time, maybe 15 minutes in the evening, to sit down and think through your concerns. When an anxious thought pops up during the day, you can remind yourself, "I'll think about this later." At first, this may feel awkward or artificial. You might worry that you are ignoring something important. But over time, your brain learns that it does not have unlimited access to your attention. You begin to reclaim space between yourself and your thoughts. You can also create a no overthinking zone. Choose a place, a favorite chair, your bed, your dining table, and declare it a space where you will not entertain spiraling thoughts. When you find yourself slipping into worry there, gently say, "Not here." This simple boundary helps you practice presence and teaches your mind to respect moments of quiet. Another helpful strategy is to interrupt the mental loop as soon as you notice it starting. When you realize you are replaying the same scenario again and again, pause and ask yourself 3 questions. Is this thought helpful? Is it true? Do I need to act on it right now? Most of the time, you will discover that the thought is neither urgent nor useful, and this awareness alone loosens its grip. Setting these boundaries does not mean you ignore real problems. It means you choose when and how you address them, so you can preserve your energy for what matters most. This is the essence of Stoic self-command, knowing that you are not obligated to believe everything your mind produces. Marcus Aurelius believed this inner discipline was the foundation of freedom. He wrote, "Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul." Boundaries are how you build that retreat, a mental sanctuary you can return to whenever the noise of the world or the noise of your own thinking grows too loud. In the next section, we will look at the small daily habits that strengthen this mindset and keep overthinking from taking root. Stay with me, because these tiny shifts can have a profound impact on how you experience your life. Daily micro-habits to rewire overthinking. When it comes to breaking the cycle of overthinking, most people search for a single big solution that will quiet their mind all at once. But the Stoics knew that transformation does not happen in dramatic breakthroughs. It happens in small, steady choices, repeated every day until they become part of who you are. Micro-habits may seem insignificant in the moment, but over time, they create a foundation of calm and clarity that overthinking cannot easily shake. One of the simplest micro-habits you can begin practicing immediately is setting an intention every morning. Before you pick up your phone or start your to-do list, take one slow breath and ask yourself, what kind of mindset do I want to bring into today? You might choose a phrase such as, "Today I will focus only on what I can control," or "Today I will allow my thoughts to pass without judgment." This moment of quiet intention becomes an anchor you can return to when your mind begins to race later in the day. Another micro-habit is mindful breathing. Several times a day, pause to notice when you are lost in thought. When you catch yourself spiraling, take 3 deep breaths. Feel your feet on the floor, the air filling your lungs, and the steady presence of this moment. These brief pauses do not eliminate your thoughts, but they interrupt the cycle long enough to remind you that you are separate from your thinking. Gratitude is another powerful practice that counteracts overthinking. Each evening, write down 3 things you are grateful for. They do not have to be extraordinary: a good meal, a kind word, the way the morning light looked through your window. Gratitude pulls your awareness out of hypothetical worries and into the richness of the life you are already living. It shifts your perspective from what might go wrong to what is already good and steady. You can also experiment with a short reflection ritual at the end of the day. Marcus Aurelius often reviewed his thoughts and actions each night, gently considering where he had fallen short and where he had acted in alignment with his values. You can do this by simply asking yourself, what did I learn about my mind today? What can I do differently tomorrow? This reflection builds self-awareness without harsh self-criticism. Finally, be patient with yourself. The Stoics understood that mastery over the mind is a lifelong practice. Marcus reminded himself, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive. That mindset does not come from force or perfectionism. It grows out of small daily acts of intention and self-respect. These micro-habits may feel modest, but they are how you train your mind to meet each day with steadiness and resilience. In the next section, we will bring everything together and talk about how you can commit to this path with a sense of encouragement and purpose. Stay with me, because you are closer than you think to creating a life of greater peace and clarity. As you move forward, remember that overthinking is not proof you are broken. It is simply a habit, one your mind developed in an attempt to feel safe. The beauty of Stoicism is that it teaches us we are never obligated to accept every thought as truth. Each time you pause, breathe, and allow a worry to drift past without clinging to it, you are practicing the art of mental freedom. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." These words are more than philosophy. They are an invitation to step out of the cycle of rumination and into a life guided by clarity, purpose, and calm. If you found these ideas helpful, I invite you to take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps more people discover the wisdom of Stoicism and supports this growing community of people who want to live with intention. I would also love to hear from you. Share in the comments what strategies you use to quiet your mind, or which practice you are most excited to try. No matter how loud your thoughts become, there is always a still place within you that cannot be shaken. You are not defined by your worries, but by the courage you bring to meet them. Thank you for watching, and remember, you already have everything you need to create a life of peace, focus, and quiet strength.